I would much rather be in Grenada than homesick. We got two sick bros coming at you
Two
live
bros
today.
not feeling good, and this is now, I think, week 3 or week 4 of trying to figure out if people like this season because I cannot tell.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's fine, but
I
I
thought
can't tell
so.
what the general public thinks about this at all. The discourse online is insane.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Infirmary Goots. What's up, dude?
The boys are in the infirmary this week.
Boys are struggling. Boys
What
are
a
struggling.
time. Look, I mean, this is what happens though. If you're not feeling great, you're feeling a little sick, maybe you're working at home, maybe you call out of work. What are you going to do? You're going to sit around and watch reality TV. So it actually bodes really well for our watchability,
Sure.
unless you have a fever dream in the first half of the episode and don't know what the hell's going on.
Guilty. Guilty of that in Atlanta. So this first half is luckily not a whole lot happened. But yeah, I was watching this yesterday because we were going to record yesterday. I was dangerously ill. And then Shooter texted me while I was dangerously ill saying that he was leaving work because he was so sick. We had tried to muster through it and let's watch Atlanta and see where we're at after that. I texted him about halfway through because I was on my couch just sweating. I felt horrible. And I was like, how you feeling? He's like, I can't finish this. I have cold sweats. I can't do this. And so we pushed it to today. We're both doing a little better.
It's so funny though. And I talked about this in our little cold intro there. I don't know if people like this or not. And I'm sure our audience will sound off. They'll ask us questions. They'll send us comments, whatever it might be. It's funny because with the extra time that I had, I was just going down rabbit holes for different Bravo things, as one usually does. And I landed on something for Atlanta, and it started with somebody tweeting out, and I talked about this a few weeks ago with Bravo tweeting it out. Is Drew having a good season? Are we ready to admit that Drew's having a great season? And I haven't really seen it. I don't think she's having a terrible season, but it's not a standout. We saw the first half of the season, Shamia was really great. Angela's been awesome pretty much the whole season. She's a great newbie, but Drew doesn't really come up on my radar. So I'm looking through expecting people to say, what show are you watching? Instead, it's a lot of pro Drew stuff.
She's got a lot of support. Our audience really likes Drew too. They give us a lot of shit because we give Drew shit. And here's the thing, to address that, I like Drew actually. Yeah. People might not think that, but I do. I just call her out for certain things because the way that she operates sometimes is a big question mark. I don't understand Drew, but I give Drew all the credit she deserves. I think that she's an integral part of the show. You're the one that shits on her music. I don't do that either. I just the way that she operates is confusing to me. So I talk about her a lot, but it's not because I want Drew off the show or anything.
No,
I think she's
I don't
having
think either of us have said that.
No,
that's the best part.
I think she's doing good. She's not my favorite, but I think she's doing just fine. She's had a solid season.
All of the things that we talk about when it comes to Drew, none of them are immediately, all right, we need to get her out of here. No. There's only one person on this cast that I just truly think needs to go, and that would be Brit. But when it comes to Drew, we question whether she's telling the truth. We get shit for that. People comment
people she doesn't lie about anything. I'm they call her Drew Nokio. What? We're not making it up. What's going on?
The entire cast, whether it was in their confessional or right there in the moment, told Drew that she lies about everything. And yet when we say it, we get in trouble.
What's
idiots. Going on here?
It's okay. We still love you guys. You can talk shit. Right. But let's get into this episode before I get too sick to finish. We start out with Shamia getting all the donations ready to head to Grenada. They had a lot of shit. That was pretty cool. They had boxes on boxes on boxes stacked up to send. Obviously, after that really bad hurricane down there, they wanted to send whatever they had to help out. So I thought it was pretty cool to see her gather all that stuff and watching her daughter oh, come on, that still fits. And she's like, nope, no.
Whether it's toys or clothes or whatever it might be, any toddler, any child under the age of 7 or 8 is going to look at a box full of old clothes or old toys and immediately say that they want it back. That's just how that works.
One. Oh yeah, I do that.
I haven't seen that in so long. I want to play with it right now. No, you don't.
I'll do that shit myself. I'll be all right, I'm going to clean out my clothes this week, and I start to, and I'm like, oh, I can't throw this shirt away. It means too much to me. And it's like, well, that's why you have all these shirts you don't wear.
It's falling apart at the seams, and instead of you being like, "Yeah, I should throw it out," you're like, "I'll keep it. I'm not going to donate it."
Whoa. You should know me better. If it's falling apart, that means it's prime ready to wear. That's part of my wardrobe. If it's brand new, I'm probably not going to put it on. I need to be worn.
If you put on a shirt like that in the middle of summer, you're probably going to get sunburned through the shirt. That's how worn out it is.
Yeah, that's a steel shirt. Yeah. That's me. So Brit shows up with one box full of 4 boxes of tissues, from what I gathered, and says, "Oh, there's way more coming. Someone's going to drop it off." No, they're not. You're a liar. You brought 4 boxes of tissues. She has a garage full of shit. Kelly's got a car full of shit. They're taking this seriously. Brit, you pull up, and the first thing that you have to talk about, by the way, is I'm pissed off at my event planner for how the country club thing went.
Apparently, her and Michael didn't pay the bill for that. Did you see that this week?
Oh, yeah.
I
saw that in our comments. I saw that in the Bravo sphere. I saw that everywhere.
She's the worst. She really is. Like, dude. How do you not, if you are doing this, and I'm going to, obviously, this is going to make a lot of sense. If you're Brit and you see this is all I have is a box full of 4 tissues, I have choices here. I can A, show up with those 4 tissues and say that I have a lot more. B, show up with those 4 tissues and say this is all I have. Or C, you can say, hey, I'm not going to show up today. I got something else going on. And then you can just say you donated on the side or whatever if you still want to lie. No, she's still going to show up and do that and then lie just so she can get the camera time. That's where I'm getting really annoyed with Brit, is that she shows up and does all of these things and it's either not authentic or she's annoying and pushing some weird agenda. I have a feeling she's going to push a weird agenda when it comes to Phaedra. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like,
yeah, I know.
She's going to,
so weird.
Oh God, she is going to be attached at the hip when it comes to Phaedra. So I get no enjoyment out of her being on the screen, and we just don't need her anymore. And I think the majority of the audience is going to agree with that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Brit Edie supporters out there. And I agree with you. Like, if you're going to drive over there and have this fake scene and like force yourself onto the camera, stop at a grocery store and buy a bunch of canned shit.
Yep.
Go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of fucking napkins and like water bottles. Go do something. The box you showed up with is insulting to people that need help. Like, that was the funniest thing. I'm looking at this box. I'm like, what do you think? They're sad? They need a fucking tissue? Like, what the hell's going on here? It was terrible, especially to, again, see it juxtaposed to just boxes and boxes of clothing and actual things that these people need. So nice job, Brit. Even in helping people, you can't fucking do it. But
yeah,
the whole trip is set to reset, evolve, and change, as every housewife trip is. We've heard this before. So we know what the drill is. We know what they're trying to do. But let's get to Porsche and Drew, because they're going to sit down finally and have a conversation. God. Finally. I don't know if this was fever me. I don't know what they really talked about. Like, what really got accomplished. Because, like, Porsche wants to clear the air.
Nothing.
Obviously, Drew has signed with Dennis officially. And, the timeline's a little wonky or something. But, like, she's here. So, like, let's talk. Okay, let's talk. First of all, the ginger and turmeric tea, that was a whole debacle. What the fuck is going on with that? She's like, no, ginger. I was like, get her the tea. Why are we still talking about the tea?
It went on for so long, and they kept going back to it because the waitress comes back with the black tea. Yeah, I know. You probably thought you were living in a simulation. We're like,
I was tripping balls. I was like, what the fuck's going on with the tea? I'm too sick for this.
You're like, is Peacock messing up? Are they just like replaying the scene for me? I don't need this.
I thought it was just like jumping back 10 seconds. I was like, I'm never going to finish this episode. It's a hellscape right now.
Funny. It's really funny that like the timing of it is very odd, because this is a conversation that should have happened 6 weeks ago. And we agreed with that. We talked about that. We actually got through the entire cycle of talking about this to the furthest extent that we could get to, and decided this isn't worth us talking about anymore. Lo and behold, as soon as we abandoned it, they're going to sit down and have a meeting. If they did this and the same thing got accomplished, which nothing got accomplished 6 weeks ago, I think it would have been funny. I think it would have been, okay, you guys sat down, you guys are both just not going to agree to anything, and you're not going to be specific in a timeline, and nothing's going to get accomplished. But it's kind of funny because we did want you guys to sit down, and you sat down. So thanks for that. 6 weeks later, I'm like, come on, really? We're going to do this now?
And when they do, they both are so like steadfast that neither of them have done anything wrong.
Stubborn.
That they just kind of bark at each other, and then they both go their separate ways. Like,
hey, we don't say bark around here.
We're not allowed to
people
say
dogs.
I'm not calling anybody a dog. I'm saying that they got mad at each other. But Drew brings up the filming with Ralph. I'm like, that's fair because she's pissed off at you for filming with Dennis. So like, it clearly looks like a tit for tat thing. And we've heard a lot of this shit already. It's like, Drew's going through a divorce, so she's not dating. Now there's a rumor out there that she's dating Black. I don't know who that is, but Porsche brings up the fact that she's dating this dude named Black. If you guys know who that is, hit us up in the comments so that we can catch up. And then Porsche is apparently dating somebody else that we can't say the name. It gets bleeped. So, or was Drew the one dating the guy that got bleeped, or they both get bleeped?
No, it's Porsche. It's Porsche.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I told you this was hard to get through.
It is confusing. It was a very confusing scene because they went off topic so quickly to everything else that's going on. Like, we're not even talking about Dennis anymore. Now it's be honest about who you're dating, Drew. Drew actually, I think, had a really good reason. It's a messy divorce. I'm not really dating. Like, yeah, maybe she's seeing somebody here or there. If she doesn't want to divulge that information, I'm fine with that. I don't have any issue with Drew doing that. Usually I would try to hone in on something if I thought somebody was being fake. But in this situation, we watched her whole divorce. We're watching her and Ralph just completely go after each other in the courtroom, outside of the courtroom, living in the basement, whatever the fuck's going on. If she doesn't want to talk about a guy that she might be kind of flirty with and maybe dating a little bit here and there,
maybe they have like a casual hookup every now and then.
Portia should understand that. She's also
that's
going
what I'm
through a
saying.
divorce.
Is she not going through the same shit with like a shitty divorce? Like, you'd think she'd be a little bit more understanding.
Yeah. I feel like I have more respect for Drew because at least we were able to like put a face to the name, kind of. I guess they blurred his face out in the picture. But we at least got a name.
Yeah.
They went to Porsche, and Porsche said, no, you can't say his name on here, so we're going to blur that out. So, I don't know. Yeah, we didn't really get anywhere when it comes to this. No, and I'm not really surprised.
Nothing got accomplished.
And obviously, Porsche's going to take the stance of, well, Shamia invited me to dinner, and Ralph happened to be there. As soon as Drew brought up the whole filming with Ralph thing, I knew where Porsche was going to go with that. And Porsche's way too smart to understand that we're going to sit here and be like, yeah, totally. You got blindsided by that. Ralph wasn't supposed to be there. Like, no, you knew.
Either you told Shamia to do that, or Shamia told you, hey, I'm sitting down with Ralph, and you said, I'm coming.
You did not have to go.
Right. So you were definitely involved in those shenanigans. So don't act like you weren't.
Let's actually break it down a little. Let's break it down a little further. Why did Porsche go to that? Because Shamia went there to potentially talk about a business deal. I don't really believe that, to be fair, but Shamia went there with some sort of topic to discuss. Porsche didn't have to be there. She just wanted to be there to be petty. Exactly. So and that's my problem when it comes to a lot of this and a lot of the storylines and the backstabbing going on. Own it. If you're going to be petty, just own it. It's so much cooler. It's so much better. And I have so much more respect for somebody when they just sit there and say, yeah, I did that.
And you know what? I can give credit to Drew in that regard because like she's not backing down from anything. I'll give her that this season because even in this moment when Portia leaves, she says like, oh, this is why Simon's leaving you. This is why Shamia's leaving you. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, she's going to watch that back. That's going to sting.
This is going to seem like we got bullied into becoming a pro
Drew fans. No, it's just we flip. This is what happens. Like we'll take all different sides. When we see something, we're like, that's stupid. Yeah. Portia's acting like none of the shit that she's going through is the shit that Drew's going through. And she's being so not understanding of it. It's like, it's just frustrating to watch, And like
it is.
By going to lunch with Ralph, that whole thing, it's like, what were you trying to accomplish there? And when we watched the scene, you hardly talked. Like all you were doing was making jokes about who he's hooking up with. Like, what were you doing there? So yeah, I'm just calling it like
a weird. It's a weird level of hypocrisy coming from Portia. That we should probably expect, but I don't like it.
No, we don't like hypocrisy. So yeah, guess we're Team Drew now. You bullied us into it, everyone. But we get to Kelly and her kids, and they're just getting everything straightened out before she heads on this trip because she will miss the first day of school on her trip. And, most of them are not okay with that. The older ones
her kids are
aren't concerned. I know her kids are great. The older ones aren't really concerned about that. They're more thinking, what's our budget as far as like first day of school clothes go? Because we got to pick out our fits. It's a big day.
Mhm.
We
It's
all
a
know that.
huge
Remember
day.
that will set
Massive
the tone
day.
for your whole year. If you show up
Mhm.
looking like a nerd, nothing wrong with nerds. I'm just saying, if you show up in the wrong fit, you're setting the tone, right?
You
It's a
are.
big day. But Lamont is her publicist and has been her publicist since she was with her ex, Mark, which is important to note. But he's going to take over the duties of dropping the kids off, which I really need a camera in that
we need
car for
this.
that.
Yeah.
Like, I really need to see Lamont having to drop these kids off at school.
I typically don't like it when we're on a cast trip and we have to bounce back to whatever city we're in to see what's going on with anybody who was left at home. This one I'm all for.
I really need to
watch
see
this
it.
first
the
day.
chaos of it. It would be so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But just to show you again what a big piece of shit Kelly's ex is, Lamont had FaceTimed Mark in an attempt to talk to him. I guess they had a close relationship as well when they were still together. And I think he's trying to relay to Mark, like, hey, your kids miss you. Like, where the fuck are you? And when he brought it up, he said all he got was a bunch of no's. Hey, the kids are growing up, and he responded with no.
Yeah.
That sucks. That really sucks.
Really sucks. Yeah. That's tough to hear across the board for anybody watching this.
Yeah, dude.
And especially knowing, and like, I never really understand this, when people just are okay with being a piece of shit and being portrayed as a piece of shit, you know that she's on a TV show that like millions of people are going to watch, and they're going to bring this up, and you're still going to look like an even worse piece of shit. And you're okay with that? Why? Like, we're going to figure out who you are very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Everyone already knows who this guy is. And that's the thing. It's like, you are now publicly known as a bad dad and an asshole. Nice job, Mark. And of course, it's always a Mark, you know? It's always a fucking Mark. Not you, Mark. This Mark. If you're Mark and you're listening.
Not the Love Hotel Mark.
Yeah. Not that Mark. I have a really funny story about that when we get to that episode. We're recording that next, but let's get to Grenada. We get to the airport. Angela's excited to meet Phaedra. Phaedra is shocked with how old Angela looks for being as young as she is. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun trip. That sets the tone pretty early.
Yeah.
But they get to Grenada. Shamia's bag didn't arrive. And Phaedra's doing some digging on where's the beef. And where's the beef? There's one word answer, and that's Drew. Drew seems to have shit going on with pretty much everybody in the cast, which will be addressed this evening. But we get the title card, Chapter 1, Rebirth. That's the first step of this Grenada trip is rebirth. So we're picking roommates. Our roommates already decided. Sorry. So Kelly and Shamia get the main villa. Makes sense. They plan the trip. Brit and Phaedra, Oceanic Suite. I think that was just Phaedra doesn't know Brit yet. This is the easiest one. Just stick her with her.
I love the assignments.
Porsche and Angela, I think, is the best one for those two. That makes the most sense to me because, they feuded kind of, but not really. And this is a chance for them to maybe reconvene.
Angela moves on so quickly from all of that she's able to just make jokes now. Go to your confessional. It's not going to be a problem because Charles is back home. So I don't have to worry about her trying to sleep with him.
Haha. Well done, Angela.
Nice.
And then the last room is Drew and Cynthia, which makes sense because Cynthia in her confession, she's like, yep, give me Drew, chop. I'll take Drew. Yep. I will take Drew. I'll do it. No problem, everybody.
It's the only one that makes sense to just have Drew. I'll take Drew.
Yeah,
we've got the Peacemaker. Peacemaker Cynthia. That's what she's
because Cynthia's not. That's what she's done this whole season is just be the wise OG.
Spotless. She has been unbelievable this season. Such a great addition, and her popping over to Love Hotel this week was even better.
I know. We got a little double of Cynthia. That was awesome. But they arm wrestle for beds, which is funny because Drew got stuck with the twin beds again, and then she wins and gets the king bed. But I was proud of her for going, you know what, Cynthia, you take the big room. That was nice. I don't think we see that in most housewife shows. If you win the big room, most people are not going to give it up, right?
The room assignment thing is relatively new, I feel like, because if you look back and you watch any of the other housewife shows from give it 4 or 5 years ago, it was always a race, and the race was always pretty funny because people always got their feelings hurt. But I've noticed the subtle change on these cast trips. They're getting assignments. I wonder what's going on there. I want to be part of it.
Maybe there's too many fights after the run to your room thing.
I think actually we would have no way of doing this now that I'm thinking about it, but we should be able to vote on the rooms.
Ooh.
The fans.
That's actually kind of fun, but I don't
It's
know because
tough
it would
because
be
we don't know what's going
diabolical
on in the
every time.
season. Yeah, it would be.
Oh,
which
that's
is
a good
great for
point.
us.
Well, I guess you don't know really because it could be totally
Mhm.
different from last season, but that'd be even more fun because if
But
two
he just
people that
votes
you
for
thought were
Porsche and
cool,
Drew.
yeah, exactly. That's what would happen though if you left it up to us.
If
It
we
would be-
knew, we would pick a suite of Porsche, Drew, and Shamiya and just see what happens.
Yeah, and just like
That'd be
throw away
great.
the key and see who comes out. Like,
Yeah.
but while they're there, Drew makes a shady post at Shamiya, which is a bold move by tagging her in that. That's the stuff she does, though. And I'm like, why would you do that the second you get there on the trip and not say
Especially
anything
if
to
you're
her?
acting cool to her face and taking pictures with her and dancing
Right.
around and acting like everything's fine. You're going to go post something on Instagram. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If she stood her ground and gave Shamiya shit right then and there and then posted it, that kind of adds
That
up.
makes more
I think Shamiya would
sense.
actually respect that. So I think we'd be in a weird, definitely a different situation, but a little bit weirder than what Drew's up to right now. So I don't know. She puts herself in these positions all the time. Anytime you think like, all right, we're kind of cooling down
We're
a little
moving
bit. Everything's going to
forward.
be okay. You
Nope.
know, you kind of expect what you get when it comes to Drew. You're probably not really going to get an apology, but you'll get some reasoning as to why she thinks the way she thinks. And then you'll move on because it's not worth your time anymore. But if you're going to do this, it's just going to further it. So I don't know. It's going to be a messy trip for Drew.
It's just a weird way to start it out. And that's what I was
Mhm.
saying earlier. The way that she moves and operates is confusing to me. Therefore, we
Very.
talk about it a lot. But Cynthia lets us know about her man, Amsterdam. Hell of a name. Great
Oh, yeah.
smoocher.
I
Wonderful
wonder if
lover.
that's actually his name though, because she said, "I'm not really ready to show you guys what's going on with him and who he is. We're not very public. We didn't really get to see his face." I wonder if that's his name or if she met him in Amsterdam.
God, I really wanted to be his name because I have
know.
this image in my head of this like tall, dark, handsome man named Amsterdam with long
Yeah.
dreads. That's just like
Yeah.
this like generational lover. And Cynthia bagged him, and he's like
I hope.
39. Like that's what I see in
I
my
really
head.
hope so.
That's what she deserves.
It
So,
is.
and of course, his name is Amsterdam because he's a worldly fella, and he,
Absolutely.
you know, that's the vibe I get. He probably
I
plays an
hope so.
instrument. You know, like I need Amsterdam to be his name.
Yeah, but he plays an instrument like low key. Like he doesn't do it to get attention at a party
Oh,
or
no.
anything. It's just like, hey, by the way, I play the piano. It's like, oh,
Yeah, no.
fuck, that's sick.
Here's how it would come up. Cynthia would go to his place and be like,
Mhm.
oh, like after like a year and be like, oh, what is that a piano? And he'd be like, oh yeah, you know, I dabble. Please
Yeah.
play something for me. And then he like breaks out like
fucking Moonlight
fucking
Sonata.
fleur de lis or
Yeah.
something crazy. And you're like, wow, of course Amsterdam's that good at the piano. Amsterdam. Anyway, let's get back on track here.
Yeah, we're done crushing on this guy that we
Yeah.
don't even know.
I've never seen his face, but this is what I get from him. Drew talking about her dating, and this again kind of hammered it home. And I believe what she's saying when she's like, you know, I'm not really meeting people at the moment. I'm
Mhm.
focused on the divorce because Ralph is so damn petty.
Yep.
And I even sat down with Portia to clear the air with us, and you know, she's filming with Ralph, but the conversation lasted all of 15 minutes. I
Mhm.
think Cynthia's take is the correct take
Yes.
because there's clearly no way forward here. So let's just go with calling it even. They went tit for
Yeah.
tat. You filmed with Dennis. She filmed with Ralph. You're both mad at each other. You're both going through bad divorces. Let's just chalk it up as like, we're not going to get this one.
Yeah. I think chalk it up as when you say tit for tat, when it comes down to a show like this, it's let's chalk it up as a bad storyline. We don't need to go any
Sure.
deeper on this. We're going to
Yeah.
be bored watching this at home. So tit for tat, you guys are even. Let's just chalk it up. Everything's fine.
Yep, I like that. I think that's the best way to do it. But let's go to dinner. We get our cars to the restaurant. Phaedra lets us in on the funeral business, going very well. Love to hear that. People are dying to meet Jesus, as she says, which I
Yep.
hope is the slogan of her funeral parlor.
Probably is.
I would hope it is. That would be really funny just to
I'm
lean
sure
into it.
is.
But the best part is like looking at the cars side by side. They're talking about, do dead guys get boners? And the other car
Yeah.
is just silent. It's like, I want to be in the Phaedra car.
Yeah, I like the other car better. Let's
Yeah,
talk,
it sounds like
talk
a
more
lot more
about rigor
fun.
mortis.
More like rig a penis. Dinner. Let's get to dinner. This is interesting. And Angela and Charles are going to start having a lot more to answer for. Like the whole like we gave him a little bit of leeway because of knowing who he was early in the season. He's like an old
Being
athlete.
a little scared of him.
Right.
Yeah,
that too. The fact that we're both scared of Charles Oakley, that also plays into it as well. But he's going to have to start answering for some shit because between this and the scenes from next week where he doesn't even miss her, according to him, it's their 8th anniversary. And she's spending it with these ladies on a trip. That's already a little weird. There's already a lot of question marks. I get that they're like the cool couple. You know, we're cool. Like, I don't need to be together all the time for big things. I don't know.
Send her some flowers and a bottle of champagne while she's down there. Like, what are we doing here?
Something, right?
Something.
Act like you give like half a shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Stay on FaceTime for longer than 2 or 3 minutes. Say you miss her. I don't know.
Say I love you once.
How about that?
I love you. Try it.
It would be
nice.
Could be transformative.
Who the hell knows? But they're talking about the nude man in the window, who we heard about earlier. And then we get to happy endings, which is, of course, the logical next step in that one.
Naturally.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Happy endings?
I knew that was a thing. I just thought it was, dudes.
Yeah.
I didn't
Not
know.
Always.
I had no idea. No kink shaming. I just had no idea.
Nope.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Interesting. The more you know, right? Interesting. But anytime you hear this at a housewives dinner on a trip, setting the tone for the trip, the come together and reset, as Kelly starts to say, this never goes well. At least in my recent housewifery, I've never seen this go well. But
what do you think goes better, though? Starting it off with a reset or talking about how we need to reset before a dinner? Or, hey, guys, you want to play a game?
Ooh, I think the reset, because at least there you get to say nice things to start it out. The game, you're just waiting for somebody to say
always
something
shady.
Evil.
It's always shady.
Yeah. I think the reset, like, let's clear the air, is always a better start. It usually ends the same way, but
I agree. Yeah.
But she sets the table with Shamia and Drew. I think you both can be bigger and better. The whole called me a lapdog thing because you misrepresented what I was trying to say about PJ's college, blah, 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 blah. I think the end of the day, once again, I don't think she deserved to be called a lapdog, because I think that if Drew really thought about what she said, I thought she was being shady when I heard her say the comment about PJ's college. I thought she was being shady because it's implying that she needs to be there to do well, to take care of Portia's kids. That's shady.
Yeah.
So could she be upset about the fact that Shamia took that and went to Portia? Yes. Okay, be mad about that part of it, but also understand that you fucked up a little bit. Shamia, stop telling everybody everything because you're Portia's best friend. Like, she doesn't have to know everything going on.
Yeah, I agree.
think there's two sides to it. So, like, chalk it up.
That little hesitation that you had before you said best friend, I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that. If you were just going to reinforce the lapdog nature there.
No,
there was a little hesitation.
I don't think she's a lapdog. I do think that she puts herself in precarious positions because of her loyalty to Portia.
Yeah. I do think that also in the realm of these shows, you can just let the cameras do the work for you. You don't need to go run and tell. If it comes out later, it comes out later. All you have to do is show face and make sure that you're defending your friend in that moment. So that way, when that friend watches that scene, they can say, you've got my back. I like you. You didn't go run and tell me and go snitch, but you did at least have my back in the moment. That's all we really need here. If you do this too often, people are going to stop telling you stuff. And that's integral to the whole game. That's integral to the whole show. You want to be part of the show. You got to be one of those people that people feel like they can confide in. That's what you got to do.
I agree. Well said. Well said. But Drew takes it a step further. And again, like, these are the kinds of things, like, a hit dog, don't holler. It's like, bro,
so fucking funny.
Like, why?
This one I actually laughed at, though.
I did too.
It's gotten to the point now where it's like, all right, you are well past doubling and tripling down. You're just telling her right to her face, which I always support. It's funny. You think that it could go the way this conversation was going? I think that was the bridge. That was the fork in the road. Drew can apologize here. She can say something that can try to spin it and at least get to a better place. Instead, she goes right for the dog analogy once again. That's so fucking great. I love that she's just standing down 10 toes.
I just need some kind of movement into a like resolve eventually. I can't have
No, I think it
Drew
has
on
to
the
get worse before
outskirts.
it gets better.
It's pretty fucking bad. Nobody likes her. Like at what point do you like take a step back and be like, all right, can I solve some of these things? Like some of them aren't her fault. I'm on her side with the Porsche shit, even though she's being shady with Dennis. But I feel like at this point, Porsche is just trying to drag out a storyline with it. And you've gotten the tit for tat moment with Ralph. I think at the end of the day, I'm getting to the point where I'm bored of these things. So
I am definitely bored.
On.
I'm bored, but you know what? It takes two to tango with a lot of these storylines. So it's not just if Drew's just refusing to move forward and refusing to take any ownership on this, they need to keep going after her and make her life uncomfortable for her to actually do something and for us to further this. Otherwise, it is just as much their fault that we're still watching all of this and hearing about all of this. If you want to just stand there and just deny, then go for it. That's fine. I'm just happy that Drew's not sitting there every chance that she gets, which she could do easily. And I would be annoyed by it, but I would get it. She's not sitting there saying, look, guys, I'm going through a really hard divorce right now. She said it a couple times here and there, and she is going through a really hard divorce, but she's not using that as the scapegoat for everything. Like, hey,
no, she's answering.
You know what? My emotions are really high right now because of what I'm going through with Ralph. I didn't mean that. You got to give me some leeway here. Instead, she's like, nah, fuck that. I don't know. I kind of respect it in a weird way.
I respect it. But Angela steps in and takes the conversation a totally different direction and starts talking about Shamia and Portia in regards to Shamia comes to us airing out some grievances. She's not prying into your friendship, Portia. She just brought us some shit that she wanted to talk about. Portia said, if you're going to talk to her about our friendship, I wish you would talk to me about it too. So Kelly goes, great. Do you think you're a good friend to Shamia? She's like, whoa. We talked already. Like, I'm not answering that question. She's like, you just asked us to ask you. And here's the thing that bothers me with Shamia, because in her confessional, she's like, when I see Portia telling them to like knock it off and not dig into our friendship, I'm glad that she's defending our friendship. I was like, no, wait. Kelly's doing that by trying to get Portia to answer some questions about your friendship in front of everybody.
Yep.
And you just gave Portia credit for the bare minimum. Like, fuck that. Kelly, keep asking questions. Angela asked some questions. Shamia, sit there and listen to Portia try to answer, because she didn't really answer shit for you either, by the way.
No.
When you guys had your one-on-one, she was dismissive as shit until she was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And then she played sad, went to the bathroom and came back and tried and like begrudgingly moved the silverware before being like, all right, what do we do? All right, let's fix this.
It's in such a weird position too, because we know where they are currently. We know that they're still somewhat on the outs, and Shamia feels pretty sad about that. But we watch this and it's almost like Shamia's happy to just move along. Like, hey, this is the best I'm going to get when it comes to Portia. And Portia's happy to stop talking about it. Like, hey, no, we had to sit down. Nothing got resolved in that conversation. You guys just both shared that you had emotions. When Shamia shared her emotions, Portia dismissed them. When Portia shared her emotions, they came out of nowhere. And it's like, whoa, are you going through some shit that you're not talking about right now? Because that's what it seems like. And then we got no resolve. You guys just kind of hugged at the end of it and took your dinners to go. You couldn't even sit there and finish the rest of the dinner because you already had it boxed up. So nothing really happens there. So I think it's an okay moment. And we don't know what Kelly and Shamia are talking about on the side, but Kelly seems to understand what's going on with everybody else, which she's doing a great job this season too. I think she's flying under the radar.
Great. She's great.
I think she really fits into the group well. But she's right to ask, like, hey, what is going on with your friendship with Shamia?
Yeah.
What's the state of things right now? Because last we heard it was weird and Shamia felt a type of way about it. And we haven't really talked about it since. So, hey, do you mind sharing with the group? I think it's fair.
I thought so too. So I was bummed out when she doesn't answer. And I was even more bummed out when Shamia's like, great, thanks. I was like, no, dude, what?
No.
But Kelly brings up the fact that Drew has an issue with everyone except for Cynthia, and Drew's flabbergasted by the whole thing. And you at least get Portia to say, I didn't handle the Dennis thing well. Drew says, thank you for apologizing. It's like, oh shit, we're moving forward.
All right.
Sorry for bringing up Black. How'd you find that out? Dennis told me. Interesting. Interesting.
Very interesting.
So we're adding more layers to this whole thing. If it transforms into something else than we move on from, I'm cool with it. If it just adds more to this current pot that we're stirring, I'm fucking over it.
It could go either way. I really don't know which way it's going to go. I'm with you, though. I do hope that it goes a better route because we are pretty much over this. And it's very obvious what's going on. Porsche pressed Dennis, tried to figure out what was going on. Why are you filming with Drew? Are you guys dating? Is there any romance involved? Dennis vehemently denied all of it. And not only that, brought up the fact that she's actually flirting with Black. And now that's where it comes out. So it just goes back to Dennis, and we still don't really know. But again, we're 6-7 weeks past all of this. We don't care anymore. We just don't care because you guys aren't going to give us answers.
But at the end of the day, they're able to move forward because the way that Drew moved was Porsche's problem, understandably so. You should have gotten a text or a phone call from her.
Definitely.
Drew says nothing inappropriate happened, but should have texted you. Dennis said that he got your blessing. Even if she did, or even if Dennis did give her blessing, you still owe Porsche a text or a phone call.
Yeah.
So they're able to at least like move forward. So shockingly, this whole dinner actually does go fairly well with this setup. This is the first successful refresh, reset dinner we have ever seen since our tenure on Bros and Shows, even with a fucking curveball from Brit out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere. This was the dumbest shit I've ever
Wasn't
heard.
on our radar. It wasn't on anybody's radar.
It wasn't on a radar. Brit goes to Phaedra. Apollo and his wife were at my event. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to start anything. Phaedra being Phaedra's like, it's not my husband. He's married. I'm good. We're good. We ain't got no problems, is what she says. What a swing and a miss. What a fucking weird way to try to get involved because you know that you're phasing out.
I get, like, do you think she did that to try to drum up something to try to get involved in?
To try to get some kind of
I think it
feud.
was like, I took it as like bowing down to the altar of Phaedra. That's what I took it as.
Interesting.
I honestly, I think Brit knows. I think Brit knows exactly who Phaedra is, and she's trying to get her on her side because she sees the writing on the wall. She's like, "Ooh, Phaedra's here. There's only a couple of weeks left. I got to make a big move here. Maybe if I do this and show some respect to Phaedra, she'll respond kindly, and I could just tag up with her, and then I'm good." That's how I took it for Brit. But any move that I feel like for Brit, it's always self-serving. It's never like in the best interest of the group. It's only just self-serving for Brit. So no matter what it is, I don't really care. I'm so over her.
I don't give two shits, but taking what you said and just spinning it a little bit, I think that all of those things are true, but instead of trying to get Phaedra on her team, I think she sees an opportunity because she tried to have a beef with Kenya. Got Kenya kicked off the show. She tried to have some shit with Angela, right? And now she's going after Phaedra. She's trying to find somebody to have a successful feud with where she's actually getting to talk about, but she's swinging and missing. So maybe she sees Phaedra, her ex-husband was at this thing. She can be like, ha, gotcha. Maybe, I don't know, but it was like, what the fuck, dude? Just shut up. Like, what are we doing?
I like the audible groan from the rest of the table when she started talking was like,
I know.
Like,
it's so
you
funny.
could tell there was I can't remember who somebody said something under their breath, and you could tell Brit must have said something to one of them like, oh, I hope it's not a big deal that, with Phaedra coming on the show that I invited her ex-husband there and all of this shit and like whatever. You could tell that she had already spoken to somebody and they're like, Brit, shut up. Like, as soon as she brought it up, like, enough. We don't want to hear it. She doesn't care. We don't care. Move on with your life.
So dumb. So dumb. Let's get to some questions.
First one up here from MadWalb _ is Drew becoming more insufferable than Brit, or is it just me? I think it's just you, Mad. That's not. We are a Drew Stan podcast at this point. And
we have.
By the way, nobody's worse than Brit. So no.
That's a really good point. And people are going to say that we jumped ship because you guys tried to tell us that it's just an unfortunate week that everyone ganged up on us about Drew. And then it has nothing to do with that. We don't flip flop because of comments. We will change our narrative when we see things that are presented a different way. We're very evidence-based here. We try to be.
We certainly are. From Koya Baby, Who did Drew piss off on production? The Drew Hayton edit is forced and exhausting. I agree so much. Like so much hate towards Drew. We just can't have it. Not for baby Drew.
Bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, and we will not stand for it here anymore. From Mama to Lil C, do you think Phaedra came in too late in the season? Actually, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think they should have brought her back.
Stupid.
You know, it was so late. I don't know what the move is there. If you brought her back
Is there 2 episodes left? Like you bring her on the trip, and that's pretty much it. Is she going to be at the reunion the whole time too?
I don't know. No, I bet they bring her in for like the last half.
Yeah,
but yeah, I agree. But Mary had a little. Do we think Brit actually donated anything? Yeah, 3 boxes of tissues.
Yep, a little bit of tissues. That's all we got from her. Oh god, I think that's all we got.
Yeah, that's all we got for that one. But yeah, dude, what a week. Oh man,
People are gonna think. I don't know. People are gonna be so confused listening to this episode. They're like, "Are they doing a bit? Like, are they fucking with us?"
it's really not. No, like it's just.
But we both came to the realization at the same time on the same week.
Because it made the
like
most sense. Like after watching her sit down with Porsche, I'm like, all right, dude. Like you start to shift focus. That's what happens. Give us time. We usually get on the right side of history. Sometimes it takes us a minute. But
It seems like a coordinated effort. Like we sat down off screen as if we have so much time to discuss our
we are both so ill for the last 48 hours that we have not discussed anything. The only thing we talked about was the fact that neither of us could finish watching a TV show yesterday because we were so sick. So yeah, maybe that's what did it. The sickness warped our little minds. But we got to record Love Hotel now. So you got anything else?
Nope.
That's our show. Bros gotta go.